looked up at the sky, could you actually see the stars and the solar corona in spite of the glare?
We were never able to see stars from the lunar surface or on the daylight side of the moon by eye without looking through the optics. I don't recall during the period of time that we were photographing the solar corona what stars we could see.
I don't remember seeing any. I don't remember seeing any. I don't remember seeing any.
Neil, you were,
I don't remember seeing any.
Neil, you were,
I don't remember seeing any.
Neil, you were,
See how that would affect your Christmas?
I made that whole thing up.
What?
I'm sorry. I guess I just wanted to seem interesting. I guess there's a real danger of that on this show.
There's a pressure.
Well, yeah,
yes.
people come out and they've run out of anecdotes, you know, and they just start making stuff up.
Yeah.
Like that Neil Armstrong guy. Have you seen him on the talk shows?
Neil Armstrong, you mean the first man to walk on the moon?
Talk about a fish story. Man, and they're buying it.
Oh, yeah.
You can tell it's real because it looks so fake. Because it looks so fake. We'd have way better CGI if it was fake. I think it looks so ridiculous and impossible. You can tell it's real because it looks so fake. Because it looks so fake.
You know, calling me out of touch is not an insult. Yeah, I'm out of touch with your reality.
When did the Chinese land on the moon?
I have no idea.
2013. Did you ever see the video?
No.
So the Chinese landed on the moon in 2013. And they released a video for it. But pretty quick, that video was taken down. And they said, no, it's just a joke. Because it was so bad. It was so fake. Because they didn't have, you know, Kubrick, you know?
Do you know what the realm is? It's the 1,000 blades of Aegon's enemies. A story we agree to tell each other over and over till we forget that it's a lie. But what do we have left once we abandon the lie? Chaos. A gaping pit waiting to swallow us all. Chaos isn't a pit. Chaos is a ladder. Many who try to climb it fail, but never get to try again. The fall breaks them. And some are given a chance to climb, but they refuse. They cling to the realm, or the gods, or love. Illusions. Only the ladder is real. The climb is all there is.
Yeah, drinking dope turned me to a superhero. Yeah, hit that pill, turned me to a superhero. Yeah.
With every rabbit hole, the truth is placed directly in front of you. Yet it is up to you to find it. What is truth? Well, it purifies your soul. The truth can set you free. And for the millions of truthers walking every corner of our earth, I beg of you to walk with us. There's much more to life than we were told. This world is not what you think it is. You have been lied to on a massive scale. For the future of mankind, it's about time you started to pay attention.
So this idea that they go, oh, I see the curvature of the earth, and this, no, you don't. You don't. I'm sorry.
The vehicle has exploded.
We just hope you strap yourselves in tight for this ride.
Yeah, I just stopped by because, are you aware of that there's a rumor on the internet?
Vic, did something strange happen then? Something is wrong. We have a problem.
The problem is that society blindly accepts the pseudoscience narrative, but regardless of their propaganda or their agenda, they know that it's all coming to an end.
See the curvature of the earth.
Oh. That's a fisheye lens. That's a fisheye lens.
If you go on TV tonight and say, I think the earth is flat, people will just laugh at you.
They don't care if you think the Earth is flat. It's not a threat to anyone. But, like, why can't I ask questions about that? Anything you're not allowed to ask questions about is something you should be asking more questions about, as far as I'm concerned.
That's why the flat Earth people have been able to cruise beneath the radar for so long. Because they're, and by the way, I'm not discounting that possibility for the record, in case any are here, because I am an open-minded man. Present me the evidence of its flatness and I will amplify it. But the point is, when something is clearly or very likely untrue, it poses no threat to anyone. What's scary and what will elicit a response are true things. No one is punished for lying. People are only punished for telling the truth.
Got you for one last question. Before, actually, I want to do that last question. Tucker, one thing, we don't have the clip, you said, and this is another thing, Jimmy went to Princeton, he's so smart, but I talked to this guy, Eddie Bravo, who's good friends with Joe Rogan, and they give me these ideas, and they say that there's this thing called the ice wall, and that the Earth might be flat. What do you think about flat Earth theory, Tucker?
Well, I'm open to anything, but
hey, that's it! Cut the soundbite!
How could I not be open to anything at this point? I mean, there's been so much deception that, you know, you can't trust your preconceptions. So I'll tell you this, the story that we were told growing up in school about the progression of history, how it's sort of an unending, you know, like ascent toward enlightenment and technological progress. It's linear, it moves in one direction. Except for the Dark Ages, that's a complete lie. It's a complete lie. I mean, there's like overwhelming evidence that's not true. So once you understand that the most basic stories we've been told about history, about the Earth, the physical Earth itself, which has been completely changed by climate change for millions of years, once you realize all of that, then it's like, I don't know, what is true?
That the majority of people thought the Earth was flat. Okay? So, you know, I'm not really going to base a whole lot of credibility. It is? Okay, you know what? You want to have a vote on that? Let's have a vote on that. All right, is the Earth flat, actually? Yes, no. All right, we'll do this one here, okay, guys? Give me a second. There you go.
What is the American government doing to try to pull the rug out from under the control and manipulation of Earth?
I'm not sure. I can only speculate that it's, I originally thought that they were off-world to train how to fight this enemy.
The people only know what you tell them. And if that's eons of generations of people, they're going to be stupid all down through time unless you tell them all this stuff. And you don't tell them all this stuff, so it goes on so long, nobody believes it when you do tell them. And that's the state we're at now, is nobody believes anybody when they do tell them, because it's all been poo-pooed so long and made to think that it's stupid that nobody's going to believe it when they do say it. So that's why they don't worry about it. They're not worried about it because everybody thinks it's crazy, and they can just poo-poo it with something that's silly. They're brilliant at it.
But you have to understand that we all came into this world and were victimized by the brainwashing in the psychological warfare of the beast system. And this is something that they have been waiting and waiting and waiting for, because everything has to be done in a season of time. So as the highly esteemed Freemason once said, the whole world is a stage. These Luciferians have to continue the movie. They have to continue this great plan. But have you ever wondered why they're so fascinated with the black and white checkered floor? The same checkered floor that a game of chess is played on. And speaking of chess, this is a game that was invented a long time ago. It's a game that takes craftiness. It's a game that takes pre-planning and foreseeing moves and trying to outwit the opponent. It's a game where soldiers are sacrificed for the greater good of the victory. But have you ever considered that to the Luciferians, the whole world is a chessboard? And that the white square represents how they masquerade as messengers of light. The black squares represent who they really serve, which is the Prince of Darkness. And could it be that as they look at the world as a giant chessboard, have you ever considered?
If I say that the world is round and someone else says it's flat, that's worth reporting.
Is the Earth flat?
Get the fuck out of here, Tommy.
You motherfucker! I almost had him!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Now, I am aware that I usually don't chime in with my personal thoughts on these New World Order videos. This series has been a way for me to present my audience, all of you, with uninterrupted information that you will not hear in the mainstream media, no matter what side of the political sphere you fall on. And it's up to you guys to decide what you want to do with the information that I provide. Now, with all that said, the reason why I am chiming in on today's video is because it is a very controversial topic. It's one of those topics where I could actually lose all credibility. Not that I had any credibility to begin with, but you get the drift. Now, many of you have been on board with my New World Order videos so far, and I have alluded towards the end of a couple of the recent New World Order videos that I will be creating a Flat Earth video. And many of you have reached out to me and vocalized/expressed your distaste with the idea of this channel creating a Flat Earth video. I've been told it would be a complete disappointment. I've been told that people would unsubscribe. I've been told that people would leave me on Patreon. Specific individuals, I'm not going to name names, but I find that to be utterly and fundamentally insane. Because you see, telling me not to look into something, not to make a video about something, not to present information that could question your reality is the precise reason why I have decided to produce this video and upload it to the internet. As soon as somebody tells me not to do something, oh, you fucking bet I'm doing it. And you have to ask yourself, why the fuck are people actually having this debate? How is it even conceivable that in the year 2024 people are having debates about the shape of the Earth and our place in the universe? And if there's such a large population of the Earth that believes it's flat, well, I think that's worth looking into. And to be honest, over the last year, I kind of naturally fell into this conspiracy, if you will. Because out of the hundreds of hours I spent researching and editing and producing these New World Order docuseries, it should be no surprise that I stumbled across a few conspiracies that really intrigued me. One of them being this whole Flat Earth debate. Now, I want to be very clear when I say this. I did not go into this Flat Earth conspiracy rabbit hole with the belief that it was flat. In fact, I made fun of people who believed the earth was flat for, well, basically my whole life up until about 6 months ago. After looking into the flat earth topic, I began asking some serious questions, and I went looking for serious answers. And the deeper I looked, and the more demonstrably provable evidence that I found, and realizing that this evidence was repeatable, meaning it's objective reality, the more I started to believe that this world might not be what we're told. But believe me, I'm not here making this video to try to convince anybody that the earth is flat or round or oblique or pear-shaped or fucking whatever. I don't know what it is, but I do know that it is not the shape that we have been told. But I am 100% on board with the belief that we did not go to the moon. Nothing about the moon landing makes any sense. And I mean nothing about it makes sense. As a matter of fact, I do plan on making an entire video dedicated to the moon landing conspiracy. Anyways, with that disclaimer out the way, I just want to say one final thing. If you're the type of individual who is not able to set aside your emotions, your indoctrination, your feelings, if you're not able to suspend your disbelief for 2 hours and try to objectively listen to the information being told, this video is not for you. The point, again, is not to convince anyone that the earth is flat. The point is to challenge you, the viewer, to think outside the box, to think outside of your comfort zone. But this doesn't have to be an uncomfortable experience. Think of this as a little mental exercise, as a thought experiment. I mean, why does this have to be such a serious topic anyway? Why are people so viscerally triggered by the subject matter? People get more upset over flat earthers than child predators. There is a deep-rooted indoctrination into people who, quote-unquote, believe the earth is round and we're spinning through space. And it's almost impossible for them to just let go of that belief, that indoctrination, for 5 minutes, for 5 seconds. And I'm aware that about 95% of you are going to have a visceral reaction to this video. You may want to unsubscribe. You may want to stop supporting me on Patreon or CashApp, and all that's fucking great. But if you're that small-minded and that offended by a different perspective than what you have been programmed to believe since birth, then this video is simply not meant for you. I'm not out here trying to upset anyone or to piss anyone off or to make you unsubscribe or to make you think I'm some kind of misguided, uninformed idiot spouting conspiracies on the internet. As most of you are aware, I fully support free speech, so say whatever you want in the comments, but if you could please do your very best to keep it respectful and cordial and adult. You guys are always good about being respectful in the comments. I never delete comments. YouTube does do that. I don't know why they do that. I have made sure that I go to the settings on every video and turn off comment moderation, meaning you can say whatever you want and it shouldn't trigger the algorithm or the whatever it is that removes comments. So no words should trigger any kind of comment removal. YouTube does that on their own. I have been accused of deleting comments in the past. I have never done that, not once. So say what you want, call me what you want, but just try to keep it respectful. That's all I'm saying. Don't dogpile anybody in the comments. Please have an honest debate if you feel it necessary to debate. But to be honest, I'm not worried about my subscribers. I'm talking about new people who may be entering the chat. And again, I'm not a flat earther. I just find this debate to be extremely intriguing. As a matter of fact, if the flat earth conspiracy is true, then it is the godfather of all conspiracies. If we have been lied to about the shape of the earth, then the natural conclusion to that thought is that we have been lied to about everything. You see, my friends, the elites of this world are playing a game. And us, we're playing a different game. Most people don't even realize it is a game. Most people don't realize the prison that they have built for themselves. Well, I'm asking you, if you're still watching this, to consider trying to escape that prison. You built it, you can escape it. And lastly, before we get into tonight's entertainment, I want to once again say thank you all so much for the immense support that you have shown to this channel. To me, it's really just me. I edit these videos, I research the videos, I film the videos, I produce the video. It's all, yeah, I do it all. I'm also demonetized, so yay. If you want to support the content, the links will be in the description below. Let's do the damn thing. All right, Applejack, hit it.
I mean, this whole video was a joke. The Earth isn't flat, duh. But now that I have your attention...
Now, one thing I really want your generation to embrace is that the Earth is a closed system. We cannot leave the Earth. There's no place to go. The Earth is a sphere, but the Earth isn't quite a sphere. That just makes no fucking sense. I mean, it's just bullshit. Bullshit. Bullshit.
You're just some empty vessel, and we pour the science into you, and then you regurgitate it on an exam. Because Earth, we know it spins once a day. Yes.
Off to a great start.
So.
Sometimes my visions and ideas like scare people because of how crazy they are.
In case you haven't noticed, I'm weird. I'm a weirdo. I don't fit in, and I don't want to fit in.
Yes, you mother are.
Guys, can you just give us some space? We're really trying to figure something out. We need to focus, okay?
The point is.
We know I can't say that.
In other breaking news, the world is round, not flat.
Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed.
If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration.
The boundaries which divide life from death are at best shadowy and vague. Who shall say where the one ends and where the other begins?
If you only knew the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9, then you would have the key to the universe.
The sun's the light of this world. Without it, there's no light here. There's your baseline. I call it an aperture, but what I know is that the older authors that we have trouble getting a hold of, they know exactly what it was. They're called luminaries in their consciousness. And to try to give someone a way to consider this, I'll ask a simple question. Is the Earth, what we call the Earth, is it alive? I accept that it's alive and it's part of the creation. How can I look at these other luminaries and not consider them as alive? Everything is alive. Everything has a vibrational rate. The sun is hard to fathom because we've been told so many things that aren't true. It's just a mind warp, all of it. The sun is and always has been a major part of what it means to be here. One of the most foundational parts. It is referenced in the Bible to a level that I can't even communicate with you. And most people who read the Bible are probably not ready to consider what I just said. It's almost like we're quarantined here. As a matter of fact, I accept that we are quarantined here and we're quarantined in the dark, except for the sun, which gives us half a day or less, mostly less, of light. There's a spiritual aspect to the sun. It creates the foundational truths of this place. Light and day are foundational for what it means to live here. Seasons are ultra foundational to what it means to be here. Thank the sun and the sky clock for those foundations. I consider it at this point an aperture. I found the thing that I call the sun we don't see, and it's been reflected in masonry, woodcut, communications or scribing boards. It's been written about in a lot of places. If it's not true, then maybe it's a reflection on the firmament. But the point is what you've been told about it is nonsense. What you've been told about all the luminaries is nonsense.
What's one conspiracy theory you believe in?
Illuminati.
It's real?
Yep.
All around us?
All around us. The Matrix is real.
If I gave you the red or blue pill, what would you take?
Well, which one's which?
In the age of social media censorship, questioning whether or not the Earth is a globe has been deemed harmful thought. But why is this? We seem to be conditioned to think that the issue has been scientifically settled. But this is not the case. Our most popular scientists recognize that the geocentric model, where the Earth is at the center of the universe, is observably accurate. Edwin Hubble and Stephen Hawking went as far as to say that they reject the geocentric model not based on scientific reasoning, but rather because they find the thought of being at the center of the universe to be emotionally disturbing. Physicist George Ellis stated that you cannot disprove the geocentric model. You can only exclude it on philosophical grounds. The Michelson-Morley experiment in the 1880s proved the Earth was stationary, and Albert Einstein claimed this was a serious embarrassment and intended to disprove it with his relativity theory, but later admitted that he had failed to do so. We are conditioned to think that the heliocentric model is scientifically superior to the geocentric model, but when we apply scientific reasoning, we discover that this is not true. Contrary to popular thought, the scientific community has disputed the heliocentric model for centuries, such as the Earth's curvature. According to the heliocentric Earth model, the Earth is 24,000 miles in circumference, and if one were standing at sea level, they should only be able to see less than 3 miles before the surface of the Earth curves out of view. But this has been proven to be false for centuries, from the Bedford level experiments of 1838 to modern photography. This photograph of Chicago was taken almost 60 miles away from Grand Mere State Park in Michigan. On a spherical Earth, this would be impossible. Using the Pythagorean theorem and the current dimensions of the Earth, the top of the tallest skyscraper should be 900 feet below the observable horizon. Local news explained this anomaly by claiming the image was a mirage.
And what you're seeing here is a mirage. We typically would not be able to see this from the Lake Michigan shore. We talked about this last night. Conditions are right on the lake that we're actually seeing a mirage.
They claimed that somehow light refraction and perfect weather conditions are responsible for creating a photorealistic mirage of the Chicago skyline appearing to sit on the flat horizon from almost 60 miles away. Anomalies in the Earth's curvature can also be found in old lighthouses, able to be seen for several miles past what is possible on the heliocentric model, and weapons guidance systems that are capable of sighting targets that would only be possible on a flat plane. We are accustomed to observing ships disappearing over the curve, but with modern consumer cameras, we can observe that this seems to be an optical illusion based on light reflection and the laws of perspective. Many of us tend to think the planet is too big to observe curvature, but the empirical evidence tells us that either the surface of the Earth is a flat plane or the planet is at least 100 times bigger than we are told.
This next point I found extremely interesting. Official documentation claiming the Earth is flat, and that mathematical equations used in aeronautics assume a flat, non-rotating Earth. Check these out. This is a CIA document sourced from the Russians, and it's titled Dissertations Defended in the Scientific Council of the Institute of Physics of the Earth. In the document, it mentions a near sun and a formula that is derived on the assumption of a flat Earth. This United States Army document from the Army Research Laboratory on the propagation of electromagnetic fields over flat Earth mentions transmitters placed on the surface of a flat, idealized Earth. In one of its figures, it also mentions flat Earth. In another Army Research Laboratory document, it depicts a diagram showing a flat Earth, crepuscular rays that we mentioned earlier, and a near and localized sun. Here's another document on projectile flight dynamics, and the equations in the document assume a flat Earth. Here's a NASA document on the derivation and definition of a linear aircraft model. Introduction. This report details the development of the linear model of rigid aircraft of constant mass flying over a flat, non-rotating Earth. NASA document on the SR-71 Blackbird and its top speed of 2,193 miles per hour. Maneuvers depending on a non-turbulent atmosphere and a non-rotating Earth. Federal Aviation Administration document. Equations of motion assuming a flat, non-rotating Earth. Another NASA document. A rigid aircraft flying in a stationary atmosphere over a flat, non-rotating Earth. An aircraft model for the AIAA Controlled Design Challenge. Flight dynamics of a rigid aircraft flying in a stationary atmosphere over a flat, non-rotating Earth. NASA Technical Paper 1285. Flat, non-rotating Earth. A NASA Georgia Tech project in conjunction with the U.S. Air Force. A model frequently used is that of a flat, non-rotating Earth. You might argue that some of these documents are taken out of context, but you have to admit that a lot of these flight calculations are based on a flat, non-rotating Earth because they come right out and say it.
After 3 months of investigating on the flat Earth model, I finally found the 100% proof that the Earth is not a globe. And that's how I found it. This video is called Go Fast 2014. You can check out the full video, link is in the description. Basically, this video is a world record for the highest private rocket ever launched into space, and you can see the full flight without any cuts, filmed from 3 onboard cameras. The highest altitude is about 120 kilometers or 73 miles. That's so amazing. I always searched for a video like this. Unfortunately, it appears that the camera have fisheye lenses, however, the Earth still looks flat. I was watching this video at least 100 times and analyzed it frame by frame, hoping to find a proof for either the flat Earth or the globe Earth model. And then it hit me. The moon. You can clearly see the moon in these videos. Would that even be possible if the Earth is a globe? If I check the position of the moon at the date and time the video was taken, and it turns out that the moon would be underneath the curvature, it would prove that the Earth is not a globe. The video was shot on the 14th of July 2014. Unfortunately, I couldn't find the time the rocket was launched, and I would need a time to get the exact position of the moon. So I started investigating to find an approximate time when the rocket was launched. I found this video that was taken a few moments before the rocket was launched.
I did 2 circles around the rocket. Landed safely. Now the next morning I did a short flight just before the rocket launched.
Did you hear what he said? He said the next morning I did a short flight just before the rocket launched. That means the rocket was launched somewhere in the morning. It looks clear, the sun is already out, so it can't be that early in the morning. However, after the launch, they were flying in a helicopter to see where the rocket comes down. For a split second in this video, you can see a GPS device in the helicopter, which shows the time, and the time is 11:40. So the launch must be between approximately 8 o'clock at the morning and 11 a.m. The rocket was launched in the Black Rock Desert in Nevada, USA. In July, Nevada's time zone is Pacific Daylight Time, which is UTC -7. Now, let's check out where the moon was at this time. I'm using timeanddate.com, and trying to find where the moon was on the 14th of July from 15 o'clock UTC to 18 o'clock UTC. As you can see, by the time the rocket was launched, the moon was in this area, right over Australia. So, if the Earth is a globe, it would be impossible to see the moon from Nevada, because the moon would basically be on the other side of the globe. To imagine this better, there's this website called solarsystemscope.com, and you can also simulate a date and time here, and I also put the right date in. I'm not sure about the time zone here, so I just placed it so the moon would be above Australia, like we saw it on timeanddate.com. So if the Earth is a globe, and if this is our solar system, then tell me, how is it possible to see the moon, which would be here, from Nevada, USA, which is here? It's impossible. So if you say that the Earth is a globe, please tell me how this is possible.
So, you know, the space station. This is, what do you think of this from the space station? Why don't we see any land down here?
Right. It's a cloudy day, David.
Okay, a cloudy day. But doesn't it look flat, or does it look curved?
Oh, boy, that's a tough one.
Well,
I mean, I guess I would... you son of a gun.
Okay.
You're such a trickster.
That's how easy it is to fool somebody.
And that's it. I'm not here to convince you about the shape of the Earth or anything like that. I just want to bring out one point for you to consider. If you believe that the Earth is a spinning ball or a globe or whatever, the heliocentric model, if you believe that, from this debate, I want you to just recognize one thing, and that is, you should at least understand why people become flat earthers.
The moon was photographed at the same time in Australia and Florida.
Mm-hmm.
How would that be possible? How's that possible?
Okay.
And this can be repeated in different sides of the globe, shall we say?
Yeah. Well, they are definitely upside down, so that's...
It's rotated,
yes,
yeah.
You can, I mean, with respect to each other.
But the same phase.
Well, it's the same phase, yes. Why should it be different? Because the phase of the moon depends on the sun.
Because one of these locations shouldn't be able to see it. So on the globe, say the moon's here in Florida, the guy in Queensland shouldn't really be able to see it.
But this is a full moon, close to the full moon.
Close to full moon.
So this means that there is an angle at which it's seen. So full moon means that the Earth,
opposite.
Yeah, the moon is opposite to the sun. Yeah.
But still, with the globe, with the Earth being a globe, it shouldn't be able to see them both at the same time. And this is being repeated. This is an anomaly that some people can't work out.
If somebody does it, so it's possible. For me, it's like this, You cannot say me impossible if somebody does it.
Sure.
So then I say it's possible, and then you can ask why it is possible. Then I do calculations.
Yeah.
So I would say you cannot argue. If this is not a fake news,
I can verify this.
If it's not a fake news, then you have to say, okay, interesting, it's possible, I would like to understand why, and then maybe it's possible only a few times a year,
It could be done daily.
Daily, okay.
Even with just after new moon.
Then it's fine, then it means that moon is far enough from Earth that in the close to the full moon, you can see it like from the front and from the edge.
In the model, there's a model software called Celestia. Yeah, you know Celestia?
I don't know. Yeah, there are many.
It's a mod. Yeah, there's many. It's a 3D model of the solar system. When you put this date and time in, you shouldn't be able to see the moon from both places. So there's a problem somewhere.
So probably model is wrong. I'd say. This is for me, as a scientist, we're always like, okay, there's a puzzle, there's observation, which is true data, and there's a model which cannot confirm the data. Then I'm sorry, the model is wrong. So
you would say direct experience is the king.
Yes, absolutely.
I agree with you.
Absolutely.
I totally agree with you.
If this is possible,
the data has to match.
Then the model is wrong. Then you program.
According to the official story, the only external light source was the sun. But in all these photographs, there appears to be only artificial light, hot spots, and fall-off areas, when it should be as bright as a desert on Earth. And if the sun were the only light source, then all shadows would run parallel to each other. But in these photos, shadows either run perpendicular to each other, proving multiple light sources, or in others, the shadows are divergent, proving a single local light source. Shadows created by sunlight have a sharp edge. Shadows created by artificial light have fuzzy edges. Even the camera expert from Hasselblad agrees that these photos were shot using artificial light sources.
Yes, it seems like he's standing in the spotlight. And I can't explain that. That escapes me. Why?
The photographs all appear to have been taken on a professionally lit soundstage, which could have easily been part of their billion-dollar simulation project. And when you compare scenes from the Apollo moon landing footage with scenes from Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey, there is strong evidence that the exact same technology was used. In the late 60s, a state-of-the-art front projection system developed by Scotchlight allowed Kubrick to simulate expansive backgrounds by projecting them onto a large screen made with small glass beads. The giveaway for this cinematic trickery is that the foreground must always hide the bottom of the Scotchlight projection screen in the background. In order to do this, the bottom of each set needs to have a complete horizon line between the set in the foreground and the screen in the background. And we can see this signature in all the Apollo images. We can also see light refraction off the glass beads in the Scotchlight screen. The lunar module appears to be cheaply constructed with tinfoil and Scotch tape, and the 10,000-pound thrust rocket on this flimsy craft didn't even leave a mark in the ground beneath it. There is no moisture or discernible atmosphere on the moon, and yet we can see mud and dust being flung into the air. In an original recording between Houston and astronauts on the moon, a reply is heard instantly, which would not be possible from that distance.
Roger, Jim, copy. And are you progressing towards Dune Crater now? Yep.
The same recording was then edited for a public broadcast, and 4 seconds were added.
Roger, Jim, copy. And are you progressing towards Dune Crater now?
Yep.
And when they supposedly left, there was no visible flame on the lunar module, even though hypergolic fuel visibly burns in a vacuum. And we never hear the 140 decibel rocket engine which the astronauts are sitting on top of.
40 feet down, 2.5. Picking up some dust. 4 forward. 4 forward. Drift into the right a little. Good. Okay.
During takeoff, when it would have been burning at its loudest, an astronaut plays a musical recording, accentuating how quiet it is inside the craft.
99 Pro. Good liftoff. Automatic.
An official moon rock given to Holland by Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin was tested and found to be petrified wood from Earth. The lunar module designs have been thrown away. Videotapes are missing. And all of the telemetry data, which could be used as evidence of the moon mission, is also somehow missing.
We've been unable to track it down. I mean, we don't know where this telemetry data ended up, and we don't know what path it may have taken. So, unfortunately, I'm afraid I can't really give you much of a clue as to where this data ended up.
You guys keep calling me globetard, so it seems like it.
The Earth is flat. I follow all the flat Earth things.
Yeah, so, okay. I mean, it's not flat.
You're a globetard. You're a globetard. You think this isn't flat.
It's not.
Is the world round?
Yes, it's a globe.
Globetard.
Alright, so how's it flat then? Prove to me it's flat.
Look how flat.
I see the curve.
He doesn't shit.
I do, I see the curve.
Tell him more proof. Did you know that not once in the history of space travel ever has any astronaut had his camera around? Not once. Why don't they?
What do you mean?
Well, fake manipulated images, yeah. You're a globetard. Your name should be Luke the Duke. But instead your name is Lee. Let's start calling him Lord. Lord.
This is stupid. I'm not a globetard.
You have a spacesuit, you can go up there and see it's flat. You ain't fucking going.
It's not flat.
That's why you're Lord the globe.
So is space fake? Is there even space?
Space is fake. You're Lord.
NASA isn't the only space agency. Are all others in on it too?
When confronted with the demonstrable evidence for our level Earth plane, one of the most common and frequently asked questions is, why would anyone lie about the shape of the Earth? Why would there be a worldwide conspiracy to hide the true dimensions of our home? What would be the point of hiding our level Earth to begin with? Many who ask this question haven't actually researched the subject and understand that those who aren't directly involved in the lie cannot fully comprehend the motives of those who are. Therefore, the often repeated phrase, "Why would they lie?" is more a cynical defense mechanism than a genuine question. So we cannot definitively answer the question of motive, but we can attempt to deduce and guess what it may be. Government space agencies are freely receiving trillions in currency over the decades to produce little more than rockets that end up in the ocean and CGI cartoons on television. Maintaining the illusion is comparatively cheap, so rather than being some unrealistically expensive enterprise, it is actually an incredibly lucrative and profitable scam. Besides being a productive moneymaker, the notion of outer space, along with the belief in a globe Earth and the Big Bang Theory, has fostered a nihilistic, materialistic worldview that rejects the idea of intelligent design and replaces it with the concept of random, chaotic coincidence. Instead of intentional design by a purposeful creator for humans and the Earth, We are taught that everything came into existence by accident and for no reason. Through indoctrination into this anti-spiritual religion, believers lose connection with anything beyond the material world and become selfish, compliant consumers. This then sets the stage for further manipulations as people deceived and disconnected from their true foundations can be led anywhere. Two places we are clearly not being led by this globe deception, however, are Antarctica and the North Pole. These two locations hold inherent significance in the level Earth model of the cosmos, as Antarctica is the elevated outer rim that encompasses and extends around all the other continents, while the North Pole is the center point of the world, where all compasses point and directly below Polaris, the only stationary star in the sky. Interestingly, ancient world maps from before the globe deception took hold depict additional lands in both regions. Since then, however, these locations have completely disappeared from all modern maps. By turning Earth into a ball, these potential extra lands, resources, and civilizations have been conceptually erased from the minds of the masses, as there is literally nowhere left for them to exist. In summation, the globe lie is the biggest and most fundamental deception imaginable. It uproots humanity from the foundational truth of our level Earth and sends them spinning out of control in a vast, unintelligent universe. Scientism has become a new world religion, and the masses now follow blindly towards whatever future is manufactured for them.
Burn has started on the first stage. We're continuing to hear call-outs that the second stage is continuing onward, continuing to hear call-outs that...
Are Freemasons, do they know that the Earth is flat? Are we told that the Earth is flat? How many Freemasons know that the Earth is flat or believe that? And I'm just going to show you what is written in Morals and Dogma, written by Albert Pike. This book I was given after becoming a 32nd degree Mason, Freemason. So this is going to be part of just what is written here, a little bit of my opinion, my interpretation of some symbolism, which will probably be in complete disagreement with a lot of Masons, but there are a lot of Masons that have zero idea what the symbolism even means in the first 3 degrees in the Blue Lodge. So that being said, we're going to establish that that in Masonry, the 3 great lights in Masonry is the Holy Bible, square, and compasses. So the Holy Bible, square, and compasses represent the 3 great lights in Masonry. Okay. So there's nothing more iconic in Masonry than the square and compass and like the G. You see this on a ring, you see it on a vehicle badge and emblems, you automatically know Freemason. Okay, it is the most recognizable symbol for Masons. Okay, so within Masonry, everything has multiple meanings. There are layers and layers to the symbolism and what it represents, and you can continue to peel those layers back and go deeper and deeper, and that is the continuing education of the Mason. That is what to continuously search for light, for knowledge, to dig deeper is what a Mason's supposed to do. However, most Masons do not do that. They go through and get to the 3rd degree and they become a Master Mason, and that pretty much, for the most part, might end their career or their progression in Masonry. So let's just see what is written in Morals and Dogma in the first chapter as it relates to the square. It says, the square is a right angle formed by two right lines. It is adapted only to a plane surface and belongs only to geometry, earth measurement, and trigonometry, which deals only with planes and with the earth, which the ancients supposed to be a plane. The compass describes circles and deals with spherical trigonometry, the science of spheres and heavens, which therefore is an emblem of what concerns the earth and the body, the latter of what concerns the heavens and the soul. Okay, so since there's multiple meanings to square and compasses, and you know, initially, yes, the square is for plane measurement, okay? The ancients understood that the earth was a plane, fixed, immovable, set upon pillars. It has only been, I believe, since the latter part of the 18th century, that the pillars of Jachin and Boaz with the globe and the celestial sphere sitting on top, which happens to actually be in our lodge. When you walk into our lodge, you will see two columns, two pillars, and upon them is a globe and is the spherical representation of the heavens and the stars. This symbol was only introduced into Freemasonry in the late 18th century, and my opinion is that it is influenced by the Royal Society and their pursuit of astronomy and their belief, you know, going back into Isaac Newton and this idea of us being on a globe, that this is where they've influenced and saturated this image and this into the lodge to current day. But if you go, so at the end of Morals and Dogma, they're going to start to summarize, you know, kind of sum up the book and go back to the beginning, which is what the symbolism of the blue degree. And it clearly says, this square is an instrument adapted for plane surfaces only and therefore appropriate to geometry or measurement of the earth, which appears to be and was by the ancients supposed to be a plane. Letting us know, again, that these tools are used for the measurement of a plane, flat earth. Not a globe earth, not a spherical earth, a plane earth. It's just, since the influence of the Royal Society, science, in their perversion, that we get this idol. That's my opinion. This is at least the fact of what's written in the book. Now, somebody might argue that, you know, that's just symbolic and, you know, blah, 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 blah. You know what? Why can't we take things literal? You know, I think that that's probably the biggest mistake that people make with the Bible, is they don't want to take it literal. And, you know, I think that the evidence and that the truth is right there in front of your face, and it's always been there. And so people have just allowed themselves to be brainwashed by scientism into this image, which is not our reality. It is not what we perceive, and it's not what we can actually measure. Why can't we measure curvature? Because it doesn't exist. Why are we given a square? To actually measure the plane of Earth.
We're going over some documents from 1954 from an elite group of folks who are out to control every aspect of your life and have done a good job of doing it, by the way, and are now on a full court press for the final chapter of this paperwork, and you're not going to like it. So that's why we're exposing this paperwork. We're trying to educate the public the best we can, as fast as we can, as warned in the documents, I might add. Warning: it is only a matter of time before the new breed of private programmer will catch on to the far-reaching implications of the work begun at Harvard in 1948. And today we're going to talk about the silent weapon, and I just want you guys to hear what they're talking about in 1954 about the silent weapon being unleashed on America, and I want you to think about right now, real time, what's happening in your world and what has been happening, especially the last several years. The quality of education given to the lower class must be of the poorest sort, so that the moat of ignorance isolating the inferior class from the superior class remains incomprehensible to the inferior class. With such an intentional handicap, even bright lower class individuals have little if any hope of extracting themselves from their assigned lot in life. Did you hear that? Their assigned lot in life. They're playing God, and they're basically planning your future. How does that sound to you? Seriously, just take a second and reflect on what I just read. Even lower class individuals will have little if any hope of extricating themselves from their assigned lot in life. This form of slavery is essential to for maintaining some measure of social order, peace, and tranquility for the ruling upper class. So they have to keep you in this kind of a fog, otherwise you're going to be all upset, and they want to make sure they maintain their status, lifestyle. They don't want you to find out because they know you'll be upset. Deceptive introduction of the silent weapon. Here we go. I want you to listen closely. This is 1954, what they're planning for you in the future. Everything that is expected from the ordinary weapon is expected from the silent weapon by its creators, but only in its own manner of functioning. It shoots situations instead of bullets. Situations instead of bullets. Have you guys been in some situations lately? All manufactured by the government? Please take this seriously. This is no joke, man. It's propelled by data processing instead of chemical reaction explosions, like in a bullet. Man, this is deep stuff. Originating from its bits of data instead of grains of gunpowder, from a computer instead of a gun, operated by a computer programmer instead of a marksman, under the orders of a banking magnet instead of a military general. It makes no obvious explosion noises, causes no obvious physical or mental injuries, and does not interfere with anyone's daily social life. You picking that up? In the documents, man, 1954, they're already scheming to make computers the new weapon. Already scheming. That's what I read in yesterday's video, was that the processors were coming online, but they weren't good enough. They weren't fast enough. And you're thinking that all this computer stuff is so organic and it just happened, and it's not. All this computer stuff was actually designed to keep you in total bondage, and for them to data mine all of your information so they can, behind the scenes, pull all the strings to manipulate you into doing exactly what they want.
And so, you might make fun of flat earthers, but
some of you may be familiar with the old experiment about the hammer and the feather. Well, in this case, our feather will be played here by this four of spades. And you may expect everything up here in microgravity to float, because most everything does float.
Oh, no, 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 no. Start colliding. Oh, you had me so close. When I see
here is this fisheye lens, and it's got this cool screw-on lens cap. There we go. And it uncovers this amazing hunk of glass, aspheric optics. This is...
Bunger leans forward in amazement. His eyes have caught a sudden and unbelievable change in scenery. The universal white is turned to chocolate brown, dotted with blue. A cameraman goes into action. 300 square miles of land without snow. Land that might be in New Mexico or Arizona. Pictures alone will prove Bunger has discovered a warm oasis in the shadow of the pole. It is for such supreme moments as this that men brave the hardships of exploration. The astounding, undreamed of fact is that they are over a chain of warm water lakes whose shores, except for small patches, are free of ice and snow. Commander Bunger circles the largest lake in sight, 5 miles long. He comes in to make a landing. Water temperatures must be recorded. Samples taken. He finds the water fresh, the temperature 38 degrees Fahrenheit. On the shores are vast deposits of coal and of minerals of the utmost importance to civilization.
Mountain ranges with peaks 20,000 feet above sea level. The trimetric lenses, clicking overlapping exposures every 3 seconds, photograph from horizon to horizon. Coal, a mountain of coal. Byrd later declares Antarctic mines, if once tapped, could supply the world's coal needs for centuries. These official motion pictures can give only a cross-section of the miles of photographic records accumulated on this expedition by the Navy. The exposed mapping film will take 5 years to assemble. Amplifying these are the radar magnetic detectors, accurately recording mineral discoveries of immense value for the future use of all mankind. England, Norway, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, South American countries, and Soviet Russia are claiming Antarctic territory. The United States recognizes no claim, and so far has made no formal claims for itself. But international policies cannot concern the Admiral now. His duty is to keep his flying laboratories functioning, to fulfill his dream of a lifetime.
The cameramen who made this picture, I want to give full credit. They did not hesitate to risk their lives at their job. And now first, I want to tell you briefly the difference between the top and the bottom of the world. Now the North Pole is the center of a deep ocean, whereas the South Pole is the center of a high plateau which averages 7,000 or 8,000 feet in altitude. Many species of flowers can be found at Eðìţəɗ, whereas around the South Pole, except for some very primitive plants, there is no life whatever beyond the edge of the continent. It is cold and silent and dead. There are no Eskimo. It is too cold for human beings to live there permanently. In fact, the only permanent resident is the emperor penguin, and he doesn't go beyond the edge of the continent. In fact, the only permanent resident is the emperor penguin, and he doesn't go beyond the edge of the continent. Go beyond the edge of the continent.
I don't want you falling down that trap of people asking you, well, wouldn't you go up there if you could? You can't. That's one thing you have to understand. You can't, and they're never, ever going to actually have a system in place for a rocket ship, which 99.9999% of them, in my opinion, no human beings are ever on those, ever. But let's just say that 0.1%, they're going to put someone in there. It ain't going to be you, and it ain't going to be your neighbor. It's going to be a Mason. They're going to be acting. That, man. I can't let you go down that in your mind. You can't go. It's impossible. It's an impossible thing. Again, I compare it to, well, if Santa came to pick you up, wouldn't you believe him then? It's like, come on, man. What are we talking about?
Where are all the satellites? Along with 2,271 satellites orbiting the Earth, there are 500,000 fragments of space junk. And we're supposed to believe that in all of the feeds they give us, we are constantly, conveniently witnessing portions of the Earth without any of these man-made obstructions? This is absolutely bullshit.
Gotta get this off my chest, like now. When people say they want to go into space,
I'm gonna go.
What do they typically mean by that?
They mean I'm gonna be an astronaut. I'm going into space, man. I'm going up there. I'm going up there.
Up there, and generally they mean they want to go into orbit.
Excuse me, the f did you just say?
Right? Anyone who has ever been in space.
They don't mean that. They want to go to space, man.
Well, okay, if that's the case, do you know how many people have left low Earth orbit?
Well, first of all, you are going to have to define low Earth orbit for me.
Okay, sorry.
Because
I'll say it another way. All right, the Apollo astronauts.
Okay,
that left Earth.
Right.
To go to the moon.
All right.
Okay.
And that's space.
Okay, wait a minute. So those are the only people who have ever left Earth for a destination. Every other astronaut, hundreds of them, are called astronauts, and we still say they went into space. And what that means is they went into low Earth orbit.
Oh, that's just awful.
And so low Earth orbit is, in practice, where the space station is, it's about a couple hundred miles up. So the distance from Earth's surface to the space station is less than the distance from New York City to Washington, D.C.
Oh, God, why are you depressing me like
I'm
this?
just trying to be honest about this.
This is awful.
Okay? So when people say to me, you want to go into space because somebody's got some orbital tourist thing, not boldly going where hundreds have gone before, driving around the block, as low Earth orbit indicates. Okay? So, yeah, you can drive to Earth orbit in, 3 or 4 hours.
Oh.
All right? If the road were pointing straight up, there's a functional definition of space.
Damn, so SpaceX should be...
No, it gets worse.
They should be called Leo X.
Low Earth orbit X. 100 kilometers up. Or about 62 miles.
Damn.
Okay?
Now, I will say this, it is important to understand who you can trust in terms of authority. If there's a group of people that stand at the top of society and they say, hey, we did this thing 60 years ago, we flew to this place, you know, trust us, and we know it's a lie, well then maybe don't believe them because they're clearly liars, right? So there is a point to be made that you should be able to identify proper legitimate authority, and simultaneously you should be able to identify the deceivers, and don't listen to the deceivers. If they roll out another thing, don't listen to them because they're liars. And so there is a value in understanding who you can trust and who you can't. But beyond that, you know, should you spend the rest of your life learning about these conspiracy theories and stuff? Probably not. Just have enough discernment to be able to navigate who you can trust and who you can't.
Turn my lights on. Gotta fuck the choir with the mic on. I don't get excited, you saying phony ass niggas. I just get my mic on. Y'all said I wouldn't go nowhere. I took the detour. When you see the film of the crack, I gotta be sure. When you see the brand new big floors on the floor, if the cops ask my name, bitch, I'm Emal. We have one.
I like those odds.
Let's go, I ain't playing around. Red nose, all you niggas clown. Niggas turning it up, but shit, I'm tearing it down. Hard to believe in God when they ain't no mirrors around.
Stay down. Final warning. I could do this all day.
Yeah, I know. Running to the reservoir, had them niggas in the cops looking jigsaw. I done fucked around and turned into the big dog. Let it get dog, get caught, bitch, I'm big nah. Yeah, new suit, new same niggas like what? Lukewarm ass niggas always wanna talk. I'm hot, I'm heat to the core like earth. Don't touch, niggas might get wrong.
A fraudulent organization bent on siphoning your tax dollars. The moon landing didn't happen.
Those iconic blue marble images seen from space, fakes.
You start seeing words like composite or animation or, you know, something that tells you this is not an actual photograph of the Earth.
The biggest concern with the flat Earth movement is how fast it's gaining steam. Scientists are worried that flat Earth could become a political issue like climate change, vaccination, or evolution. Guys?
All right, fascinating stuff. All right, Aaron, thank you.
Very interesting.
Well, new this morning, all our lives we've been taught that there's little doubt that the Earth is round, of course. We've seen the images from space, but not everyone's really convinced.
There's a whole group of people who
Yeah.
are not convinced. Some common themes are the Earth is not a sphere, as you said. It's not moving. We are not spinning on an axis or revolving around anything. And biblical literalists believing the Earth and everything we see when we look up in the sky exists in sort of a dome. That's the belief of organizer Robbie Davidson. He does believe that mainstream science deliberately hides a creator or God. And he says it's become taboo to question science.
They become authority figures that are so high, you can't even question them. And I think it's dangerous for anybody to be at a point where they can't be questioned or critiqued or looked into.
The billboard for the convention just went up along E470.
People can go there, be uninhibited about their beliefs, what they think. They can discuss it openly and freely.
As a pilot and engineer, Bob used to think it was crazy. So what about astronauts?
The space shots are actually shot in a swimming pool. And they are shot in a place that's called the NASA Neutral Buoyancy Lab, okay? And in this Neutral Buoyancy Lab, they have a full-sized mock-up of the ISS.
Len, NASA calls it their Neutral Buoyancy Lab. It's just behind Ellington Field here and is becoming an important source of new revenue. NASA's Neutral Buoyancy Lab simulates space underwater. In a pool 4 stories deep and so wide, we saw astronauts floating on one full-size International Space Station replica.
Bob knows this is controversial. He welcomes debates and says,
Investigate it yourself. Do your own research. That's what matters.
If you are curious about the international conference, make sure to visit us online. We have more information there at cbsdenver.com. Live in Denver, Jamie Leary covering Colorado First.
But I would say that people should have a better understanding of why it is they believe what they believe. The answer really is because all the smart people say so. And that should never be your baseline of why you think something is or is not true.
I did not think I'd get applause for that, by the way. That was nice.
So Buck just said the Earth is flat. That is freaking me out. All right.
It's not a way to make friends and you know, impress your family, because if they're not willing to look, they're going to think you're crazy.
And many attending the conference here say the theory has really gained popularity over the past few years, enough popularity where they can hold conferences like this. One factor of the growing popularity may be the coverage in the media. It became a hot topic recently when Duke's very own Kyrie Irving came out and claimed he believes the Earth is flat.
Kyrie is my little brother. He's my all-star point guard, superstar point guard, and if he decides he wants to say the Earth is flat, then so be it. So he's an interesting guy, man. And, you know, he believes it. So, Kyrie, the Earth is flat, right? Yeah. 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 So whatever. That's news. That's news.
Some people are saying it's a complete conspiracy theory. Some people are saying this is it. The world is going to end. Mate, this is going absolutely nuts.
Earth is flat. There is no concrete information except for the information that they're giving us. They're particularly putting you in a direction of what to believe and what not to.
Is this like a long troll game? Are we being trolled?
I don't think we're being trolled, because if you want to talk about anything that's scientific, two things must be met. Is it reliable and is it valid? I just got off of a flight from Connecticut seeing my daughter, and this is a reliable... She's doing good.
And let me guess, the plane went straight. So
well, let me just say this, Mama. So I heard Kyrie talking about it, and I said, let me do my own scientific experiment. Let me take a look out this window.
Nope.
At 36,000 feet, I saw the skyline. And you know what I didn't see? A round skyline.
I'm out.
Was flat from the left, and I went on the other side of the plane. It was flat on the right. Kyrie done broke it down.
You may have seen it on your way to work or school or just driving around. A new billboard has some people thinking about the Earth.
And asking the question, could the Earth be flat? Greg Argos is here with more on the movement.
Just yesterday, in fact, this billboard, a digital billboard, unveiled yesterday, and it's calling into question a theory most of us have accepted, that the Earth, of course, is round. But those behind this billboard say, well, we've all been tricked.
NASA's pictures and spacewalks showing a curved Earth are all made up. Drivers heading eastbound on the Schuylkill already battle some serious traffic. But now there's another distraction slowing them down, and it's just 100 feet above their heads. Sandwiched between two insurance ads is this bold 3-word billboard, Research Flat Earth. And for at least the next week, this ad will be blocking drivers' attention.
Next we have it's a flat Earth after all.
Oh, wow.
Always a fan favorite. This float celebrates flat Earth theory that is spreading ironically around the world. What do you think the Earth is flat?
It's a flat world after all.
Top 6 answers on the board. We asked 100 men, what would you do if your beautiful date told you the Earth was flat?
Laugh at her.
Laugh at her.
Tell her she lying.
Tell her she lying. Pass the point.
We're playing.
Let's play. All right, Sarah. You talked to 100 men. What would you do if your beautiful date told you the Earth was flat?
I hope he'd agree with me.
Agree with her. I would. I just met you. We're on a date. You fine. You tell me the Earth flat.
That's cool. I agree.
I mean, it's your turn.
I think I'm gonna solve it.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, the Earth looks pretty flat to me.
Yeah, that's it.
You believe the Earth is flat?
Yeah, I believe the Earth is flat.
What piece of evidence made you start believing?
Well, I looked into the moon landings. I don't believe that we landed on a moon. There's a lot of evidence to support that. We've only gone up to 1,000 miles above the Earth's surface.
To imply that the Earth is flat, you aren't just saying that NASA is lying. You aren't just saying there's a conspiracy within a single company. You're implying there's a conspiracy involving the world's 71 space agencies, 13 of which have launching capabilities. Not only are you saying all 71 of those agencies are lying about the shape of the Earth, but every single person in them is lying or being fooled by their respective companies. Furthermore, every single astrophysicist in the world is, by your implication, a scam artist getting paid to do research through telescopes and instruments that would be useless if the world were flat. So roughly 75,000 people are lying about what they do for a living. Not only is it absurd to even imply that NASA program under the United States government could possibly pull off this sort of conspiracy, but the fact that all 71 space agencies around the world are also taking part in some conspiracy, and every astronomer and astrophysicist and astronaut is also part of the same. It just seems that so many different people are involved in this major conspiracy.
Yeah, all the.
What I need is for you to climb down out of my ass.
Take all that conspiracy theory shit over to Alex Jones.
Listen, fuckhead, you have fucking crossed the line.
Take it over to Alex Jones. Take that goofy shit.
Stop pushing your shit. You're the people that have fucked this country over and gang raped the shit out of it and lost an election. So stop shooting your mouth off claiming I'm the enemy. You got that, you goddamn son of...
You're not that fucking smart. You're not that fucking interesting. You're not some forward thinker. You're on Twitter. You're a conspiracy theorist. Kook, motherfucker.
I think it's incredibly important to listen to the specific words that Gresh uses. You know, Gresh never said extraterrestrial or alien. He said interdimensional. It has become apparent that there is a movement, whether it's within the intelligence community or not, to prevent us from finding out more information on this.
Luna would not expand when asked what interdimensional meant, whether this was something which could bend time and space. Other lawmakers accuse the government of deliberately trying to keep Congress in the dark.
I'm telling you, it's what all the ancients said. It's what they warned of. It's what we're dealing with. They're demons. They're frickin' interdimensional invaders, okay? I'll just say it. Make fun of me all you want on CNN or wherever, but everyone already innately knows this. These people are not frickin' humans, okay?
You're not likable. You're not lovable. You're snarky, okay? You're not charming. The most unlikable dick. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. It proves that you're a fucking dick. Mister, I got it all figured out. I thought you had it all figured out. You want to talk that goofy, kooky shit? Take it over to Alex Jones.
You just mentioned the deep state, which is something, it's a concept I believe in. Most people that I associate with politically believe in, but it's a very difficult thing to define.
Yeah.
What is the deep state?
They are the people who we never elected to run the government, who are actually running the government. That's the answer.
Infowars.com, you fucking kook.
But this is the thing about the whole flat earth, round earth thing. Like, why people care if people believe in the earth the way the Bible describes it? Why do people get so mad about that?
Does the Bible describe it as flat?
Yeah.
It does?
With the dome, the firmament, and everything.
Oh, that's news to me.
That's new. You never read the Bible?
No.
That's the problem.
That is a problem. That's why I go to hell.
So why do people get mad at people if they just describe the earth the way the oldest history book describes it?
Yeah. So does this mean you think it's flat?
Yep.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
Whoa.
I just don't talk about it because it's like something like Einstein said, you know, saying to a dumb motherfucker, ignorant motherfucker sound dumb. So I was like,
I get it.
You motherfucker are up there talking about people on Epstein Island.
So you were on the island?
I was apparently. I don't know.
I'd look at. I'm libertarian enough to say if you're an adult, you live while you live. I may not agree with decisions you make, but we'll love you.
Admiral Richard Byrd, Medal of Honor winner, youngest admiral in the history of the Navy, and recipient of 3 ticker tape parades in his honor, led 4 expeditions to Antarctica. The 4th being a military operation known as Operation High Jump, with an aircraft carrier group, 4,700 men, 13 support ships, and 33 aircraft. Their stated mission was to establish the Antarctic research base Little America 4. Admiral Richard Byrd spoke on TV of an area bigger than the United States with valuable resources and announced a future of international exploration.
Our very distinguished guest for this evening is Admiral Richard E. Byrd.
Strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America. We've found enough coal within 180 miles of the South Pole in a great ridge of mountains that's not covered with snow, enough to supply the whole world for quite a while. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
That's a tremendous
So
job.
there's a lot of adventure left down at the bottom of the world.
Admiral, do you hope to see that?
I do. So I'm willing to say to you that there will be a number of expeditions that will follow, I think, year after year, bottom of the world, because the government has really become interested.
But this never happened. In 1957, Admiral Byrd died in his sleep of a heart ailment at the age of 68. And on December 1st, 1959, all 12 countries active in Antarctica signed a United Nations treaty that outlawed all public travel south of the 60th southern parallel.
From No Don K Records yesterday, proving the Earth is flat at an alleged height of 62.4 miles, or 329,472 feet. That is an absolute killer of the silly globe. But today, there was another great video from Level Earth Observer, where he showed a clip from Action Lab evincing that a rocket will not work in a vacuum. Therefore, a rocket would never be able to go to what they claim is outer space. I haven't explored this issue for a long time, and so this was a lot of fun to see. This is the clip from Level Earth Observer's video if you haven't seen it. It can't be more obvious. The makeshift rocket doesn't move until the gases hit the wall of the vacuum chamber. It needs something to push off of. As I was searching for the original source video, I found a similar one. Take a look. Again, the model rocket engine does not produce any movement until it has something to push off of. In this case, the gases emitted from the model rocket engine, which are hitting the rear wall of the chamber. Anyways, thanks for watching.
Because there's nothing that's interesting that comes out of your mouth.
It's that time of year again. It's Dylan's 2024 vision board.
You're never going to be likable. You're a dick. Your reputation has always been that you're a dick, and the more that you keep opening mouth, it proves that you're a fucking dick. Mr. fucking anti-vaxxer, Mr. I got it all figured out. Shut the fuck up.
Say goodbye to your qualified immunity.
That's fine, as well.
Okay. You want to just take the cuffs off me? I might give you an opportunity.
No.
I might give you an opportunity.
The state will go over every detail of a person's life with a fine-tooth comb. Their financial situation, spending habits, career, even behavior on social media. Criticizing the government online or displaying outward signs of wealth is a no-no. On the other hand, praising the party or giving blood increases your social credit.
And Maxine Waters, who has been promoting this, said that we need this to compete with China, which is so crazy. Digital currency that's centralized by the state is terrifying because they'll connect it to a social credit score system.
Yeah.
If they connect it to a social credit score system, Tulsi Gabbard, I don't like what you said on the Joe Rogan Experience. We're going to go and eliminate your ability to fly.
Right.
You can't fly. You can't travel. You can't buy gas anymore.
Yeah.
Which is what they do in China.
This is my rifle. There are many like it, but this one is mine. My rifle is my best friend.
Shitty ass platform.
Just say that somebody catches this video and they're like me, they're on the fence. What would you how would you lay it out for them just with no interruptions?
That's a good question. I mean, I used to be somebody that thought that we needed to push this on everybody, and now I just see it as the truth isn't for everyone. And I think that the truth is something you have to be searching for, you have to be seeking in order to find it. So there's a lot of people that are just against it. So I'm not really into convincing anyone. If somebody wants to believe that they're spinning on a giant rock in outer space, if they want to think that we live in some sort of infinite galaxy with many other planets and suns, and the stars that we see are trillions of miles away, and that we're spinning 1,000 miles per hour and don't feel it, and we're going around the sun, which is 867,000 miles wide, and we're going around that at 66,600 miles per hour. If you want to believe that, be my guest. If you want to believe that us with the sun are going around the Milky Way galaxy at 480,000 miles per hour, go right ahead. If you want to believe that us, the sun, the Milky Way galaxy are all going around the Great Attractor, if you want to believe in a Great Attractor, be my guest. We're going around that at about 1.8 million miles per hour. So, it's not my job to convince you of what is true and what isn't. Nobody's convinced you that what I just said was true, yet you jumped on that and are all for spinning and flying through space, and it's just so magical. And these scientists, they know so much. They know the age of the Earth. They can just date the rocks and figure it all out. They know evolution and how that all worked out. It just so happens that no more things are evolving, or we're not getting any new species now. But back in the day, they were happening all the time. Dinosaurs were here 67 million years ago, and then they got wiped out by the giant asteroid that we need to be scared of because it could be here any day. And then after the dinosaurs were wiped out, there wouldn't have been an animal of any kind of size left, maybe a badger size. So you figure that badger size animal evolved into human beings within just 67 million years. So really the entire science story is quite magical. These gas giant planets, we got Jupiter 100 times the size of the Earth, and just amazing the stuff that they've discovered out there in space. And we've got Elon Musk right now who can barely land a tin can, right? He's trying to land this tin can thing that he's got, I don't know, Star Hopper or something it's called, and everybody thinks he's the savior of the world because he can almost land this can. He landed it recently, but then it blew up 5 minutes later. And you have to remember, he's sending that tin can 5 miles into the sky and bringing it back and trying to land it on Earth, and he can't do it. It keeps blowing up. However, 60 years ago, we sent men inside of a tin can, not 5 miles in the air, but many miles in the air, like 250, 300 miles in the air. And then those men joined an orbit around the Earth, and then they blasted off towards the moon, 250,000 miles away. They got there in a strange land with different gravity, no atmosphere, and landed their little craft on the first try. They just moseyed on down, and contact light, we got 5, we're right here, and they just landed in Houston. We made it, we're here, and we got out, and we had fun. We set up cameras, we called the president, did a little dance around there, broke out a car and drove that around the moon, and we had all kinds of fun. Played golf, did the Galileo dropping the 2-item test. So just amazing science. And then they got in that craft, the same one, the same craft that just landed. They got in it and took off again to reconnect with the orbiting craft, and then come all together back to the Earth, get back in orbit, and then drop into the ocean. So magical what we were able to do 60 years ago, and yet today Elon Musk can't launch something 5 miles in the air and have it come back and land, and people think he's the savior of the world. So people are just dumb. People are too stupid to wake up to the lies that have been told. They love to ask questions like, why? Well, why would they lie? Or, that kind of nonsense. Or they like to say that too many people would be in on it, or they have all these different excuses. And that's fine. They can stay asleep for as long as they want. They can believe in things that aren't true. They can just believe that we're spinning and flying through space. So, all the distances and the speeds I just gave you, if those were multiplied by 1 million or 1 billion, it shouldn't change your opinion that we still live on a spinning water ball, because it doesn't matter what speed they say, we just don't feel it. We're just flying through the magical vacuum of space where nothing impedes our journey, and we can fly 1.8 million miles per hour. Nobody ever feels it. So if all of a sudden they came back tomorrow and said, oh, actually, we're traveling 19 trillion miles per hour, all of us would just have to say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, whatever you say. How do I get an A on this test? I just have to repeat that nonsense. So that's really what it's come to in this world. And I'm not into convincing anybody that wants to believe in the globe that they don't live there. If that's what somebody wants, if that's if that's what feels right to them, if that's what matches their senses, go right ahead.
Yeah.
This is a group of social criminals. These people in the space program, Nassholes, I call them. I have a very low tolerance level for stupid bullshit. Every one of those items is provably untrue at one level or another, but we believe them because they're pounded into our heads from the time we're children. That's what they do with that kind of stuff. They put it in the heads of kids. They pound it in there because they know kids are too young to be able to mount a sophisticated argument against these kind of ideas. And so kids, and up to a certain age, by the way, kids are going to believe everything a grown-up tells them, everything. So kids never learn to question things. Nobody questions things in this country anymore. Nobody questions things. Why? People are too fat and happy. People are way too fucking prosperous for their own good. Everyone's got a cell phone that'll make pancakes and rub their balls. Americans have been silenced, bought off and silenced by gizmos and toys. And as a result, no one's ever learned to question things. Kids who want to learn to read are going to learn to read. Much more important to teach children to question what they read.
Captain thinks the world is around, see? But we all know it's a flat, right?
Of course it's flat. Sure, I know the world is flat.
Well, so do I. Everybody knows that.
Good. Then you're on our side. We're going to take over the boat, throw Columbus in chains, and head for home.
Good idea.
The words Google Flat Earth were found carved into the riverside hill in letters that were 10 feet long.
The world is flat?
The world is flat.
Not debatable, it's flat.
The world is flat.
The earth 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 is flat. Whoa, is flat.
The world is flat like a son of a bitch.
Point is, they can't get that far from here, and they're really in the protective confines of the earth. They're really in the protective confines of the earth. They're really in the protective
International space crew attempted a spacewalk outside the station. Here's a live look at the astronauts. Well, I don't believe. I don't think that's. Yeah.
Where's their space?
So this is photo trickery and brainwashing that's got the world thinking that we're on a ball spinning around the sun with a magical force called gravity holding us on the underside of this spinning ball. It's all just brainwashing that we've received. It's pseudoscience accepted as legit science.
Woke up to the truth of the flat earth, shape of the earth, as an engineer and a pilot. So I've studied engineering, physics, 3 different ways: basic physics, electric physics, and construction physics. And also as a pilot, as a rotary wing pilot, that is helicopter pilot, I studied aeronautical physics as well. So I can cover and discuss just about any factor of flat earth. Not that I'm any smarter than anybody else, but I've studied quite a bit of factors that analyze shape and motion of just about any object. That's physics, also aeronautical physics, and principles of flight. I can tell you this: airplanes fly straight and level. That's even an aviation term, straight and level. Airplanes will fly for hours at the same altitude, never dipping their nose down to follow the curve of the earth. An aircraft on a 12-hour or even 18-hour flight from Portland, Oregon to Seoul, Korea, that would have that aircraft starting at one point and then flying so far around the earth that it's flying downwards with its nose vertically downwards, and then starting to go around the curve of the earth so that the airplane is now flying upside down. Would have to make that kind of a flight path on a globe, which is, it's such an absurdity. So that being said, I come into the true shape of the earth, the flat earth, as a skeptic, like most anyone else. I'll tell you my story. My buddy told me about this. He said, Rob, you need to learn about the ice ring. You need to learn that the earth doesn't move. This globe is garbage. And I laughed at him. I said, are you kidding me? I'm not even gonna look into that. He said, that's fine. He said, that's fine. You don't have to look into flat earth. But until you do, he said, until you do look into flat earth, you will remain a slave of the matrix. And interestingly enough, at this point, this was more or less November, December 2015. I had already mentally resigned from the U.S. military for 3 years. I had already resigned because of Benghazi. I realized, and I saw for myself, I'd been working with U.S. as an Army officer, working for State Department for a good 10 years. And so what I did, I turned my physics awareness, I turned my studies into analysis of the shape of the earth. Radar is simply another form of radio transmission. Radio includes anything within the range of the electromagnetic spectrum. Electromagnetic spectrum, also known as light. Radio is the transmission of light, whether it's visible light or radio waves which are not visible. when it comes to radio transmissions, there must be a transmitter and a receiver. There can be a reflector or a transmittal unit along the way. However, in the end, there's got to be at least transmitter and a receiver. And in the case of radar, radar transmits a signal and it bounces off a reflector and then it comes back properly. Long story short, radar emits a signal, it bounces off something, and then it returns to a receiving unit, and the receiving unit maps that reflection accordingly. If there is no reflector, then there's no return signal, and then the object does not show up on the radar, for example, it's off the screen. Notice, there's no curving around anything. It goes out in a straight line. Radio signals always travel in a straight line. So the transmitter sends the signal out to the target, bounces off, and it comes back in a straight line. Radar cannot travel over the curve, and hence, radar is dependent on line of sight, direct beam from the transmission to the target. It reflects and it comes straight back. There is no curving around anything, thus is radar. The fact proven from multiple points that there is no Coriolis to the motion of the Earth. And I'm speaking from a pilot's perspective, also an engineer's perspective, because I obtained a degree as an engineer before I went to flight school. So I'm both a pilot and engineer at once. So, number one, there is no rotation of the Earth, proven by the fact that a helicopter pilot can hover the aircraft indefinitely, motionless, above a single point of the Earth. If the Earth were spinning, as soon as that aircraft left the ground, the Earth would spin out from under it. Now, somebody may say that the air of the atmosphere rotates along with the Earth, which is one of the most absurd concepts imaginable, because if that were the case, then all wind would travel with the Earth. There would be no alternating wind currents. When we know that the jet streams fly overhead, clouds move in multiple directions overhead, and a kite flying over the stationary Earth, the fact that a kite flies because of wind passing through, that proves that the Earth does not. That proves that the air does not move in unison with the Earth. Number two, airstrips do not rotate away from a landing aircraft. Anybody who's seen a pilot's view when an aircraft lands, well, the aircraft lands to a motionless airstrip. If the Earth were rotating, the pilot would have to turn to the angle at which the airstrip is rotating away and land at the speed of the airstrip, which is absurd, simply absurd. Airstrips do not rotate away from the aircraft, and on an east to west landing strip, if the aircraft is landing to the west, the airstrips do not land moving towards the airplane. That's insanity, okay, simply stated. I've done many of them personally. I've flown more than 1,070 hours in both helicopters and airplanes, and I will tell you factually that aircraft meet their checkpoints, they take off, they meet their checkpoints, and they land exactly as planned on a flat stationary map. No pilot, I say again, no pilot has ever accommodated for the rotation of the Earth when planning flights and takeoff to checkpoints along the way, and then landing. Pilots can plan so well that they can take off and land hundreds of miles away down to within 30 seconds of their planning, because the Earth simply does not rotate.
If the Earth is 25,000 miles in circumference, there must exist a curvature drop of 8 inches times the mile when you square the mile. 1 mile means there should be an 8-inch curvature drop. 2 miles, 2 times 2 times 8 is 32. That's 32-inch drop. 3 miles would be a 72-inch drop. And this would exponentially continue. Here's the longest bridge in the world, the Danyang-Kongchon Grand Bridge in China, 102.4 miles long. There should exist nearly 7,000 feet of curvature drop in that bridge. 7,000 foot curvature drop. Do you see it? It ain't there. Look at the horizon, it's flat.
We still don't have a picture of our home. Thousands of satellites supposedly orbiting the Earth. Why can't we get thousands of pictures? One shot with the whole Earth in it. Hell, we should have a channel on cable that shows the Earth rotating 24 hours a day, every day. Nope. Let's listen to NASA's very own Robert Simon talk about how we get our fake pictures of Earth.
In 1972, we saw our home in a new way. Apollo 17 astronauts snapped this picture.
It gave people the first look at their home planet as a single entity.
Last week, scientists at NASA released this. The shot is compiled from data from NASA's VEERS instrument, which orbits the Earth about every 100 minutes, taking measurements of light coming off the planet. That can be translated into ribbons of imagery like this, and then into one of these. And this is just the latest in NASA's Earth from Space album, which may be one of the most mind-expanding collections of images in human history. Then in 2002, Blue Marble 2.0. NASA's Rob Simon made this. Simon's job is...
It's primarily taking data and making pictures out of it.
That's what this is, a composite of data sets from several different instruments translated into a picture.
So we actually had to take clouds out.
They stashed the clouds for later, went onto the ocean. That came from an instrument that measures phytoplankton in the sea.
Where it was low, I colored it dark blue because they're low mostly in mid-oceans. And then where it was a little bit higher, it was like a little bit brighter green.
Then add the clouds back in.
There's a small problem with it because there's a very slight gap in between each orbit.
So some of those are painted on.
It is photoshopped, but it's has to be.
Then
there was another layer to sort of simulate the atmosphere.
And then there's this little bright spot.
It's called the specular highlight. So it's the reflection of sunlight off of water.
Those are the pieces, but you can't just slap them all together.
It just didn't look realistic. It looks kind of flat, or the clouds are sort of too see-through. So I just hit Command-Z a lot.
There's artistry to creating the world.
What I imagine it to be. Unfortunately, I'm not an astronaut. I've never been to space. But I've looked at these images over and over again, trying to sort of get the essence of it. It is photoshopped, but it's has to be. It is photoshopped, but it's has to be. It is photoshopped, but it's has to be. It is photoshopped, but it's has to be.
Excuse me, I'm allergic to bullshit.
But you've never seen it from that point of view. You've never seen that with your eyes from that scale of a model, that point of view, from outside of the planet's surface. Well, here's the first image that sold the whole thing. 1482. This is when they came up with this idea. We are on that thing. It's a ball. Hey, we should go to the North and the South Pole. We didn't do it yet. It's a fucking ball. Hey, nobody's even jumped up high enough to see if it is a ball. You can't do that. We don't have planes yet. It's a ball.
Images of your world with curves or as a ball are CGI. You've seen those images all your life. They're paintings, they're computer-generated images, or a little of both. Anything with a curve and the Earth is a fake. It's a fraud. You have never, with your naked eyes, ever seen the Earth as a ball from space. You never have. But you just have blind faith that that's what it looks like.
Everybody in this room was taught the story of how Columbus went before Queen Isabella of Spain, and he was going to prove to her that the world was the globe. So this world is round story is 100% bullshit. It's total fiction. Yet how did our grandparents learn this? We learned this. Our grandchildren are probably going to learn this. How come? Because history is pop culture.
Imagine we live on a flat fucking world. All this time we thought we lived on a round planet, huh? We have no fucking evidence to believe that we're on a round planet, only by people telling us, but we really don't know where we came from, who the fuck is our purpose here.
It's fucking insane. Fuck my whole brain up right now. This got me going in so many directions right there.
But I especially love this Apollo 11 redocking footage. This is absolutely ridiculous. These are 1960s special effects and are obviously fake to even a child. Look at the jerky motions. Look at the total lack of thrusters being used. I've had many people ask me if this is genuine NASA footage, and yes, it is.
Ed White is flying at 17,000 miles per hour, 200 miles above the Earth.
Okay, I'm out.
If the spacesuit fails,
Советском Союзе впервые в истории осуществлен выход человека из корабля в космическое пространство.
Meanwhile, they put it right in our face. Truth in plain sight.
I just wanted to make sure that as many people as possible see this important video evidence. This is a small but indisputable proof that NASA lied to us about their space program. A lot of people can see the obvious, that NASA lied about the moon landings. But this confirms, without question, that NASA lied about everything else related to space. Furthermore, if NASA lied about their Gemini program, you must logically presume that NASA continues to lie about everything. You can find the original video here at around the 27-minute mark, and I'll have a link in the description. According to the official story, as narrated by one of the alleged Gemini 9 astronauts, in early June 1966, NASA's Gemini 9 spacecraft was orbiting at a speed of 18,000 miles per hour when it rendezvoused with the so-called Augmented Target Docking Adapter, or ATDA. You can read about this alleged NASA mission here. Here's the original video, unedited.
This is the rendezvous from above. We're coming down on the ATDA over the Indian Ocean. And so you really know you're moving. Here we're plunging down from above, and the ATDA is going across over the Indian Ocean. We've just passed the Sahara Desert. We're coming into less than 1,000 feet now.
There's no question that you're really moving at 18,000 miles an hour. There's no question that you're really moving at 18,000 miles an hour.
As you can see, while supposedly flying at 18,000 miles per hour, Gemini 9 abruptly stopped on a dime and then resumed flight and caught back up to the ATDA, all within a few seconds. That's a change of speed of approximately 36,000 miles per hour in just about 3 seconds. That certainly would have killed everyone on board. There was no change of camera angle. There is no excuse. This space video was faked. NASA is a criminal organization, stealing your money and your soul. Thanks for watching.
There's no question that you're really moving at 18,000 miles an hour.
Is there a problem, people?
Around the center of the Earth. Then if this map is correct, then the equator must be here, and Chicago has a tropical climate. Now, folks, this is the map that we use in the schools. Look where the United States is, in the middle of the world, right? Now, here's the USSR, which is no more, of course, Mongolia, China, Africa, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan. Now, look over here. USSR, Mongolia, China, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan. Two Indias here. We have 2 Indias. Did you know that? Now, people, this is a flat-out lie. Look at the size of Greenland and the size of South America. According to your social studies teachers, what were continents? Largest land masses on the face of the Earth, right? Now, do you know the continents? Africa, Asia, Australia, Antarctica, Europe, North America, and South America. Did I say Greenland? Well, Greenland isn't a continent, but it's a huge landmass according to this map, right? The map is a flat-out lie, people. If you read the legend on the map, here it says, in fact, South America is actually 9 times larger than Greenland. Now, look at this map. The equator on this map is down here. All the white countries are larger than they should be, and all the countries of people of color are smaller than they should be. This is a visual image that teaches children a lie. In order to make this map anywhere near accurate, you have to take this over here and put it here like this. Now, well, can somebody hold that? Can you hold that down there, somebody? Are you a somebody?
Sally is a somebody.
Okay,
yeah.
Sally's a somebody. There. Now, take a look at the difference. Does that give you a different visual image of the importance of the United States? People, the way you use things like this, teaching aids like this, are what make you and I racist. We were taught that this is the way the world looks. It's a flat-out lie. How could a parent not be a racist?
That would affect your Christmas. I made that whole thing up.
What?
I'm sorry. I guess I just wanted to seem interesting. I guess there's a real danger of that on this show.
But there's a pressure.
Well, yeah, people come out and they've run out of anecdotes, you know, and they just start making stuff up.
Yeah.
Like that Neil Armstrong guy. Have you seen him on the talk shows?
Neil Armstrong, you mean the first man to walk on the moon?
Talk about a fish story.
Yeah.
Man, and they're buying it.
Oh yeah.
It's the symbol of the all-mocking tongue. And I'm sick of it. I want everybody to be in on the joke, man. You know what I mean? Like, for years now, talk show hosts, people on television, people in sitcoms have been hired by the government to throw you off the track, to distract you, to make you laugh and stuff like that, make you happy and docile so you don't know what's really going on. You know? And they get out there in the woods in a circle naked and they decide these things and, you know, and... You know, look at him trying to cover it up. It's hilarious. Hilarious.
No way. That's great.
We landed on the moon!
I am Werner von Braun. This motion picture was produced to enable you to experience more personally and vividly the most dramatic events of the Apollo 11 story. We have made full use of modern technology to capture this experience on film. The pictures and sounds are real, recorded in real time, where the action really was. So, come with us. We are going to the moon.
Astronauts to the moon.
Ball Earth, B-A-A-L, because I'm being funny, is a trippy illusion. Every single observation says it's not a spinning ball, but it takes a while before it doesn't feel totally insane to realize we are not standing on a sphere, spinning faster than the speed of sound, in an infinite void, expanding outward because we are also shrapnel from an explosion 14.7 billion years ago, in which all matter and energy came from nothing. That's literally what most people believe. NASA, Disney, and JPL were all founded by black magicians who legitimately figured out how to keep the adult mind in a state of infancy. They believe we are descended from monkey cum. We're spinning at the speed of sound on a ball in an infinite emptiness, expanding because everything came from an explosion an unfathomable amount of time ago, and we're chaotic shrapnel going forever, and out of that evolved the human eyeball. I'm not in that. I'm not in that fucked up world. What the Nazis and a lot of these people figured out was how to completely control the human mind. You know, JPL was founded by Alan Parsons, who was an Aleister Crowley student. He's a black magician. Jet Propulsion Laboratory. NASA was founded by Werner von Braun, who was an SS major in the Nazi army. And American conservative baby boomers have no problem with any of that. And then, of course, Walt Disney, who was Werner von Braun's best friend, was a Freemason who figured out how to make grown adults cry using animation. And they all came together and figured out how to keep adults in a state of infancy, begging for daddy to let them take their masks off. Isn't that wild? Monkey cum. NASA will show you that 1 microgram of plastic will make a hole this big in 5 feet of lead because it's going so fast. And then in the next sentence, they'll show you what appears to be a meth head's tree fort hurling through space that's so thin that you can stick your finger through it. It's basically aluminum foil that landed on the moon and then exploded back, and then we lost the technology, can never go back.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
And I'm the crazy one because I grew up, because I took my diapers off, because I'm not going to be defined by crazy, fucked up, abusive people.
Doesn't have it either. The Smithsonian doesn't have it. Johnson doesn't have it.
Right. We've been unable to track it down. I mean, we don't know where this telemetry data ended up, and we don't know what path it may have taken. So, unfortunately, I'm afraid I can't really give you much of a clue as to where this data ended up and whether it still exists or not.
I honestly had no interest. I think I had one person on years ago on Flat Earth just because I wanted to hear what they said, and I was like, I just kind of wrote it off. I actually think there's some truth here, though, because of the cover-up. Because I'm seeing this vast propaganda campaign being run at a very super high level. And again, I'm a student of this. Something is not adding up. And to me, what it looks like is they're trying to black this out, paint a picture that you're a lunatic or a conspiracy theorist, which is why they invented the very term conspiracy theory. It came from the CIA and Central Intelligence Agency, so that you wouldn't take these things seriously and you wouldn't even think about them critically. All I'm asking you to do with this video is think about it critically.
Should we still debate whether the Earth is flat?
Like they used to think the sun went around the Earth. Everybody say that's scientists. Well, he's so smart.
Until other science refuted it.
Right, but back then, like everybody at that time thought that guy was smart. Why at this time do we think that the Earth goes around the sun?
There's an overwhelming science that the Earth was flat, and there was an overwhelming science that
you'll learn over time.
We were the center of the world.
You're just taking an authority's word for it, and all we're saying is be skeptical. Sure. And while you're being skeptical, there's a bunch of evidence that's totally against the mainstream version. And while you're being skeptical and looking at that evidence, you start compiling more and more of the evidence until you become like me, you know the truth. I don't believe the Earth is flat and motionless. I know it is.
There was a lot of things that I thought I knew that now suddenly turned out to be completely different. They can't just impose stuff on us. They have to tell us about it and wait for our consent. And silence is considered consent.
If the sun was 93 million miles away, you wouldn't see that. We see in perspective. That is, the horizon is at our eye level. And as things recede from us, they tend to converge to the center of that horizon line, to a place that's known as the vanishing point. The sun rotates around us and only appears to rise and set because of the way our vision works. Following video without the preconception that the sun rises and sets, but rather moves further away.
The images of your world with curves or as a ball are CGI. You've seen those images all your life. They're paintings, they're computer-generated images, or a little of both. Anything with a curve and the Earth is a fake. It's a fraud. You have never with your naked eyes ever seen the Earth as a ball from space. You never have. But you just have blind faith that that's what it looks like.
If the Earth were actually a big ball, the horizon should sink as you ascend, not rise to your eye level, and it would dip at each end of your periphery, not remain flat all around, the horizon rising with the camera level and remaining perfectly flat 360 degrees around.
All the ancient cultures from the beginning of time have depicted a flat kind of enclosed Earth. So we have this flat Earth cosmology all the way up into the 1900s when a big push was made to live on this round spinning ball flying around the sun. They are basically placing us on a speck of dust flying through infinite space where it was made from this accidental Big Bang. And we really don't mean very much, and everything is kind of an accident, and it kind of leads you into this mentality where things are meaningless. It doesn't matter what you do in life, but the more you research, the more you'll find that you can't prove the spinning ball Earth unless you're suffering from cognitive dissonance and you've been programmed your entire life. All scientific experiments show that we're being lied to about what mainstream science is saying about the Earth.
If a pilot is flying around the curve of the Earth, then he should be dipping the nose down every 5 minutes. He should be dipping the nose down to stay around the curve. That's absolute proof that a plane flies over a flat surface rather than a curved one. A lot of people have these laser thermometers. Now you can actually measure the temperature of the moonlight next to the temperature of the shade of the moonlight, and you'll find the moonlight is colder than the shade opposite from the sun. So the moon is throwing out its own light. The scientific community have not told us this.
Mainstream science says that we can see the curve visible at 35,000 feet, but when we're watching an amateur balloon flight without a fisheye lens or a wide-angle lens on it, there is no curve to be seen. And basically, if we were living on a ball or a sphere of any sort, no matter how high you rise, you would have to look down to see the horizon. Yet when you take these cameras to 100,000 feet, the horizon is still at eye level. That's inconsistent with any kind of spherical shape whatsoever.
The others, they've got smaller gatekeepers for the flat earth that they've brought in to distort the message, and they give fake flat earth arguments hoping that you'll reach them before you reach someone like me, and then you'll hear their stupid arguments saying that gravity's real, but the flat earth disk is constantly rising, and that's what causes us to, things to fall. They'll give explanations like this, which to any sound thinking person will totally reject, and then they'll totally reject the entire flat earth model based on these little bits of disinformation that are being given. 200 proofs Earth is not a spinning ball, and that's just 200. I came up with 200 because William Carpenter came up with 100 in the 1800s, and I wanted to double it. I could come up with 400 if you give me enough time and incentive. People are doing it right now.
Scientists vote that the Earth is flat.
Because of actual, observable, testable, repeatable, natural science that we can do ourselves. The kind of science, in quotes, that you're getting from these figureheads is not observable, testable, repeatable, natural science that you can do yourself. It's stuff that they claim that only they can do with a Hubble telescope. Only we can take images, CGI images of fake planets with our Hubble telescope. You can't. Condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance. And I think that, Einstein was right about that. I don't believe in anything, but I do investigate everything. I don't just take things at face value or take somebody's word for it. I want to know for myself. And if I can't know for myself, then I will happily be in the place of not knowing. They need to have some authority figure telling them answers, and they're going to believe that, and that makes them feel safe. But me, I'm the opposite, where I like to be skeptical, and I think everybody would be better off if they did that instead of just believing some authority figure that tells you you're on a spinning ball that was exploded out of a big bang and you're a monkey man that evolved. It's ridiculous, and it's obvious why they're doing it. They want you to think you're a monkey, a purposeless accident that comes from nothing, while they steal $50 million of your tax money every day. The motive is obvious. CGI images of fake planets with our Hubble telescope. But you can take a regular telescope and you can see that the images they give you are complete nonsense, cartoons, and what it actually looks like is pulsating lights in the sky. Lights in the sky.
Okay, oh, that star is 700,000 light years away from that constellation. I was all into that. I was totally into it. I was super into anything space. Are you kidding? The Science Channel?
Oh my God, you had me. You had me so good.
With the CGI, with all those CGI DVDs. All those DVDs, BBC Nova, were floating in space, spinning around the sun, and the sun has got some gravitational pull on us, and we got the gravitational pull on the moon. That doesn't make sense. That's not science to me. When people talk about science this, science that, I go, explain to me how that is science. There's a force that's holding oceans, keeping it from spinning and flying off because it's spinning 1,000 miles an hour. But as soon as we get to a certain altitude, it's all magic. It's not science. All that's magic. Us floating in space, and we're being connected to the sun. It has this force that's connected. That seems crazy. And we're flying through the universe, and the universe is endless. Like people say, well, if the Earth is flat, where's the edge? Like, where's the edge of this motherfucking universe?
We're the center of the world.
Understanding what reality is very, very important to me. I think it should be important to everybody.
A lifetime of indoctrination has given us a knee-jerk reaction to certain terms. Because the heliocentric globe is all we have ever known, when someone suggests that our creation is flat, we imagine some disk floating in outer space, perhaps with water flowing off the edge. This is not biblical cosmology. Such a conception is circulated by misinformation agents as a way to ridicule and discourage investigation of the subject. When it comes to how vastly different biblical cosmology is to the spinning space ball, an absence of curvature is just the tip of the iceberg. Here are 5 key aspects of biblical cosmology. 1. The firmament and the waters. There is no outer space in the biblical model. The first chapter of Genesis and other scriptures describe our world as being encased within an immeasurable body of waters. These vast waters are referred to as the deep. On the second day of creation, God made the firmament to divide the waters which were below from the waters which were above, allowing for an inhabitable expanse in between. Even after the flood, these waters remain, for the psalmist David declared in his day, "Praise him, ye heavens of heavens, and ye waters that be above the heavens." Isaiah describes the firmament as being of a solid material that was stretched out as a curtain over the earth. The fact that the firmament is indeed a domed structure is confirmed by Isaiah's use of simile, comparing it to a tent to dwell in. Elihu described the sky as strong, likening it to a molten mirror. Such terminology proves that the Bible writers understood the firmament to be solid. 2. A circular face with ends. The Bible repeatedly mentions that the earth has ends, and further, that it has a face. A sphere does not have ends, and it is the only shape without a face. The face of the earth is described as a circle when viewed from heaven above. The Hebrew word for circle, kug, does not indicate a sphere, as many would argue, for Isaiah used another Hebrew word, dur, when referring to a ball. The Hebrew word kug is elsewhere translated compass. During our world's creation, God set a compass, or engraved a circle, upon the face of the depth. 3. Fixed upon foundations and pillars. While modern science claims that the Earth is moving through space at unbelievable speeds, the Bible declares that the Earth is presently established, or fixed, and that it shall not be moved. God himself said to Job that he laid the foundations of the earth. It is also written that the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he hath set the world upon them. Pillars and foundations are structural components that must be firmly set in order to serve their purpose. This raises the question, whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened? The Bible answers, he hath founded it upon the seas, and established it upon the floods. This seemingly impossible feat of engineering, the earth being founded upon waters, was marvelled at by Job, who declared, he hangeth the earth upon nothing. That is, nothing which affords stability as far as man is concerned. The structure of the heavens, the firmament, is also set on pillars, which are said to tremble at God's reproof. 4. The divine dwelling. God's throne sits directly above the firmament. Just as the pillars of the earth are struck in the waters below, God likewise layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters which are above the earth. It is written, the Lord sitteth upon the flood. Being literally enthroned above our world, the Heavenly Father looks down from the height of his sanctuary. To illustrate the vertical vantage point God occupies, Isaiah states that men are as grasshoppers from God's view. 5. Geocentric, not heliocentric. According to Scripture, the sun, moon, and stars are not millions of miles away, but are simply lights in the firmament of the heaven. Far from being a cluster of space rocks and burning gases roving in their own courses, the Bible teaches that these mysterious luminaries were made for the sole service of the earth, to give light upon the earth. Besides dividing day from night, the clockwork procession of these celestial wonders was to allow man to reckon seasonal changes and to mark the ages as they passed. During his battle with the Amorites, Joshua did not bid the earth, but the sun to stand still. David likewise understood that it is the sun which moves. He likened the sun to a strong man running a race, who untiringly circuits the heavenly track above. This fact is also supported by Solomon, who stated that after the sun goes down, it hasteth to the place where he arose. What are called planets are simply wandering stars. These luminaries traverse the heavens irregularly, wandering in retrograde motions above the earth. Not being mentioned specifically during Creation Week, the wandering stars fall under the general category of stars which God made on the fourth day. Unlike the cosmology of science falsely so called, the creation model that the Bible describes needs no theoretical physics to support itself. It is so simple that a child can understand it. Yet Bible truth requires the faith of a child to be received. While the simple biblical model is in complete harmony with our own personal experience, its wonderful simplicity, in most cases, does not appeal to the pride of a grown man, and he passes it by, seeking some great thing in its place.
Why don't you accept science? Well, whatever are you referring to? The science of being able to see the Chicago skyline across Lake Michigan? The science of seeing mountains and islands using infrared technology that should be miles below the horizon? You see, science is a method, an activity. It's not evidence. It's like asking if I accept walking. Science and walking are tools to produce something. Walking produces a change in location. Science produces evidence, and everyone, I mean everyone, has a biased lens through which they view evidence. So why don't I accept science? Perhaps you could ask a question that makes sense. People think that science is unbiased, and they're correct, because how can the act of walking be biased? What they mean when they say science is the mainstream interpretation of the evidence produced by science. And if someone doesn't think the mainstream has an agenda with every piece of information they put out, I can't help that person.
And I feel like I'm being strangled by like a bunch of Mexicans on a necklace just trying to...
That's love, dude.
That's love?
Let it take hold and rip out every last breath you have.
It's like every other day, man. I need to go to outer space. What's out in outer space?
Why y'all trying to go out there?
Oh, and they never make it. The rocket ship hits the firmament, and the firmament stops it. Ain't nobody been to the moon. Ain't nobody been outside this giant cage we're trapped in. The firmament is real. This is why rocket ships take off and they start shooting at an angle. They'll scrape the firmament and they always land in the ocean. Then they shoot some grainy film that they were on the moon. It scraped the surface of the firmament, landed. It's only one day, but the landing is like a week later. But that's when they showed it. All the shit happened in one day. There's no satellites out there either, nigga. There's no satellites.
You know, rockets, they have so many compartments that break off when you go. So how does the ship same when it lands? Yeah. Same as it takes off.
Or even the satellite.
No, there's no satellites. They are hanging satellites in the firmament. This is a GPS system. And that's the permanent GPS system. They call it space. But the space between Earth and God is called the firmament. And until he opens that up, it's going to be continued. Firmament. That's called the firmament. It's in the Bible. Nothing will get through the firmament. Flat Earth is real. Right? The world is not round. If it was, I get disproved this many times. But anyway, there's an ice wall around our three-dimensional world called Earth that lays on a two-dimensional plane. Right? But we're trapped in the center on this planet in an ice wall. This is why if you fly from anywhere on Earth to Australia, to Antarctica, why do you always have to fly to England? To make it seem like the world is round, you had to travel that far. From Florida to Antarctica is about four and a half hours on a straight shot. So why the fuck you gotta fly from Florida to London and then there? Anywhere you come from, you gotta go to London and then there. No, you're going to London because the reptilians there said you must come through there.
NASA admitted that it had lost the original footage of man's first steps on the moon.
YouTube and watch A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon. It contains newly discovered evidence, which is part of the missing tapes, of outtakes from the first mission to the moon, of them falsifying a shot of being halfway to the moon. We found never before seen footage of them faking part of the photography, which is in A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon, which has been licensed 5 times and can only now be viewed on YouTube.
Here they discuss the fact that they have turned out the lights and have blocked out sunlight from entering the spacecraft through the other windows, as to not cause any reflected light to fall onto the spacecraft's wall in the foreground.
Okay, very good. Well, we shut out the sun coming in some of the other windows into the spacecraft, so it's looking through the number 1 window, and there isn't any reflected light.
The reason this was done is so that the truth of the matter would not be revealed. It is this. Though the federal government would have you believe that this is a view of Earth from a distance out of the spacecraft's window as it nears the moon, it is not. What they have ingeniously done is placed the camera at the back of the spacecraft and centered the lens on a circular window in the foreground, outside of which it is completely filled with the Earth in low orbit. The circumference of the window then appears to be the diameter of the Earth at a distance. As they perfected the shot, a crescent-shaped piece of black material was inset slightly into the window to create the illusion of the Earth's terminator line dividing night and day. It is uncannily convincing. During this segment, intended to be edited and played back later for the worldwide television audience, dated July 18, 1969, Neil Armstrong condemns himself as he states that he is 130,000 miles out.
Roger, Houston, Apollo 11. Calling in from about 130,000 miles out.
Finally, the iris is opened up and you can see the real location of the camera and the very bright and near Earth out the window. Here is the slate for the 19th of July, and the same shot of trickery on the 19th of July, and then the 20th, and the same misleading shot on the 20th. Later that evening, they were said to be walking on the moon. How can this be when they were in Earth orbit only 9 hours earlier, and the moon is some 3 days' journey away?
So I took a year and I traveled across the country, and folks, I've actually posted it on YouTube. It's called Did We Go? And the challenges, Geraldo, everywhere I went, it was just amazing. Moon rocks falling in Antarctica, Neil Armstrong's silence. But I was the first to report, and you played the clip earlier tonight, that all the science data, the telemetry data was missing. Now, Geraldo, for NASA to come out and say that all the tapes were erased, I mean, it's incredible. Geraldo, this isn't just one tape. This is rooms of tape labeled Apollo 11 moon landing. Someone had to physically go and erase it. It's very challenging to try to prove we landed on the moon, and it shouldn't be challenging. The tape should be there. There should be plenty of evidence.
I haven't seen anything that indicates the telemetry data is even in existence, and as I said, even if we had it, we don't have the machines to play it back.
But your own research has shown the telemetry data is missing.
That's right.
Will you put your left hand on the Bible and swear to God that you walked on the moon?
Gentlemen. Mr. Seibel.
Yes? If you really walked on the moon, why would you not do that? So why don't you just put the end to the record in the argument and put your hand on the Bible, swear to God you walked on the moon.
Mr. Seibel, knowing you, that's probably a fake Bible.
Really? Well, no, it's a real Bible. You have the opportunity to have $5,000.
The meeting is not open.
Well, you have $5,000 cash. You can give it to charity if you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon.
Please
I have a tape.
It'd be fine.
Why don't you swear to? Why not? Why won't you do it? So why don't you put your hand on the Bible and swear to God that you walked on the moon?
Mr. Seibel has made a fool of himself in front of the world. Mr. Seibel, you do not deserve answers.
You really like attention, don't you? You're the one who said you walked on the moon when you didn't. Calling the kettle black, if I ever thought of it. Saying I misrepresented myself. Away from me. You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
You want me to knock you in the head?
Well, I want you to swear to God on the Bible that you walked on the moon.
Okay.
If you walked on the moon, we're given the opportunity to swear to God that you walked on the moon.
I'm going to give you the opportunity to get the hell knocked out of you if you don't leave me alone.
Well, you're talking to the wrong guy. Why don't you talk to the administrator at NASA? We're passengers. We're guys going on a flight.
I don't hit people, but you're going to be on the deck unless you get...
I'm heading out. I appreciate it.
And get the hell out of the house.
Okay. Well, take your stuff and get the fuck out. Why don't you quote me and say it's bullshit?
I'm in the shadows in Iran. I don't give a damn about all that shit.
You're full of shit.
Of lunar orbit being falsified.
Being falsified?
Correct. We've got an unedited tape from a source at the Johnson Space Center.
Totally nonsense.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know, but I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened.
If you show this publicly, you're open for a lawsuit. Okay?
Rare phenomenon happening right now across the globe. As of about 3 minutes ago, 7:15 Eastern Time,
99% of the entire world's population is facing the sun. That means we're all experiencing some degree of sunlight at the exact same time, either full daylight or for a lot of other folks, twilight. If you look at the map right there, just the Pacific Islands and Australia, the Australian region, are fully in the dark. 99% of the world.
And California. Poor California. Yes. You know what, though? What a cool phenomenon.
Flat Earth map, and you can see here, it's better explained with a small and local sun circulating over the flat Earth. We can see how this is possible.
They want it to be real so bad that they come up with these things that aren't true as examples why the Earth is flat. And the big one was, yeah, how come every photo of the Earth from space is a composite? You didn't even bother to look into it, because that's not true. If there's a fucking satellite that takes a high-resolution photo of the Earth something like every 10 minutes.
You seem to have mistaken me for some kind of a cunt.
Show me a real picture. Show me a real picture.
Listen, NASA does not have one of those satellites.
Fake.
Why does it look fake?
It looks like something you'd see in a movie.
That's because when they do it in a movie, they try to make it look like this, which is what looks real. Why would it be fake?
Propaganda, man.
So you think it's more likely that everyone is in on it and lying than it is one guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about and he makes a YouTube video and you get convinced. And it's attractive to you because it seems like it would be an amazing conspiracy to be ahead of.
It would be an amazing conspiracy to be ahead of.
There is no evidence for alien life on Earth. There's no evidence for alien life. There's no direct evidence for alien life.
I know you made fun of me earlier, but
Have a great night.
Do they know about the flat Earth? Say it again. You know about the flat Earth?
The flat
Oh,
Earth?
yeah. You do? Oh, what's your thoughts? Yeah, all right. I just want to ask the captain if the Earth is a ball or flat.
I just got one question to ask. Flat or a ball? Flat or a ball? What's that? Well, I never feel as breaking round. If we live on a ball, surely we'd have to fly around it. Yeah, it feels like flat or a ball. Flat, not a ball. I think it's flat. Yeah, me too. Pretty flat to me. It certainly does, doesn't it? And you've got that flight instrument down there to keep it flat.
Gravity exists.
Gravity is an unproven theory.
No, it's not.
Good morning.
I've got a question for you.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good.
I'm a fellow, Casey Josh, I'm a fellow just PPL pilot here.
Yeah, nice.
I've got a couple of serious questions to ask you.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, there's a big time. Curvature.
Curvature?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't allow for curvature, do we?
For anything, not for you usually.
No, we're round, we're a disc, aren't we? Round and flat.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hey, look, honestly, quite seriously,
Yeah.
we are, aren't we?
Yeah.
Is there a problem, people?
Yeah, all the